What I'm starting to realize is that although YouTube is full of various BG3 build videos, they tend to focus on the functionality and efficiency of various classes rather than creating characters that we know and love. What I like to do, though, is to take those characters and try to fit them into the world and systems of BG3 and see how it comes out. So without further ado, this is the Frodo Baggins build. First, we're going to start with the basics and the appearance. Now, call me crazy, but we are actually going to make this character the Dark Urge. Before you start getting all huffy and puffy, there is a reason for it. Although the Dark Urge may be a little more extreme than what Frodo experiences in The Lord of the Rings, the Dark Urge here is meant to be representative of the internal battle that Frodo is having throughout his journey with the ring. And it's really the only way to properly represent that in the game. Also, choosing the Dark Urge does not change anything about how you make your appearance or class. The only thing that is going to change in terms of how you create the character is that the background is chosen for you. The background is the haunted one, and the skills that come with it are medicine and intimidation. You cannot change that, but everything else is yours to change. So we'll go with the Dark Urge. The race is, of course, going to be Halfling. And for sub-race, we're going to go with Lightfoot Halfling. Strong Hearts are said to potentially have Dwarven blood in them and are supposed to be really durable. And although Frodo survives quite a few things, I'd say that's more about luck than durability. So we're going to go with the Lightfoot Halfling. They're known to be stealthy and social, and I think that fits him better. Under edit appearance, you're going to go for identity male and body type 2. Now, I didn't find that any of the voices really fit what I would imagine him to sound like all that well, but I felt like 5 was the closest, so we're going to stick with that. And then for the face, we're going to go with head 6. Now, I know for all of you familiar with the Lord of the Rings films, which is probably all of you, you probably weren't imagining Frodo with freckles because we're all used to seeing Elijah Wood. But out of all the faces available, this one is the closest, so we're going with this one. For the skin color, we're going to go with neutral tone 1. In the little bit of information we have from the books about Frodo's appearance, he was said to be quite fair-skinned. We don't need any kind of scarring, maturity, freckles, vitiligo, anything like that. We're going to skip all that. We're also skipping over body art. He did not have any tattoos. For eyes, couldn't really find anything on this from the actual book itself, so we're going to go with Elijah Wood's version of him and give him blue eyes, and we're going to go with blue too. Those seem to be the closest. You can skip over makeup. The only makeup available is eyes. We don't really need that. And then for hair, couldn't find like a perfect match here, but I found something pretty close, and it is called Bramble Thicket. Frodo is described as having curly hair, and although this isn't like straight up curls, it is definitely curly and very wavy. For hair color, we are going to go with 5. And for highlights, we are going to choose all highlight colors, find hot chocolate, and set intensity just around 30%. You don't want it to be overwhelming. We're just trying to give it a little bit of depth. Fraying you can keep at 0%. Facial hair, we don't need any, so we are just going to keep them like this. Obviously, this is a far cry from Elijah Wood's Frodo Baggins, but it's the closest we can get. And now we'll move on to the class build. Quick disclaimer before I get into the class build here, please keep in mind that I am working within the confines of the game here. So this is not going to be a one-to-one with the Frodo Baggins from Lord of the Rings. Okay, let's get started. As you'll see here, this is not looking like Frodo Baggins at all. This is the hireling that you can get from Withers. It's the closest you're going to get to a Frodo from him, and I want to level up all the way to 12, so this is what we're using. Also, she is a Lightfoot Halfling, so it works. The one thing that will be different, however, is some of the skill proficiencies, because this hireling has a background of entertainer. So first we are going to start level 1 Bard. And yes, Frodo is not a spellcaster. Stay with me, please. For the cantrips, we are going to choose Blade Ward and Light. These are flavor choices. Blade Ward, which allows you to only take half damage from bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing attacks, can be a stand-in for the effect that the Mithril gives him when worn. Light, which infuses an object with an aura of light, is a stand-in for the gift Frodo receives from Galadriel, the light of the star of Elrondil. Erendil.
You done messed up, Aaron!
And light, which allows you to infuse an object with an aura of light, can be a stand-in for the gift Frodo receives from Galadriel, the light of the star Erendil. And for the 4 spells that you have to take as a level 1 bard, we are going to try to choose the ones that are most flavorful. So we're going to go with Disguise Self, Dissonant Whispers, Long Strider, and Heroism. Disguise Self can be a stand-in for the elven cloak that Frodo receives that allows him to blend in with the surrounding. Dissonant Whispers is for flavor reasons, because although Frodo himself is not frightening any creatures, hobbits don't have a tendency to do so, the ring can often be heard whispering to him, and sometimes it seems to reach out even further than him, trying to touch other people around him, such as when it's tempting Boromir. Longstrider is really just a functional ability. Increase a creature's movement speed by 3 meters. You could say that Longstrider is appropriate whenever Frodo is being hunted by the Nazgûl. And then for Heroism, this is another flavor win here. Make yourself or a target immune to frighten and gain 5 temporary hit points. And this is because hobbits are known to be very brave. Now, I couldn't find anything on Frodo that said he actually played an instrument, but I did look into what kind of instruments do hobbits play, and wind instruments tend to be preferred. So we're going with flute. And now for the ability points. We're not going to go with the standard array that Baldur's Gate gives us to start with. We are going to go for something a little bit different. So we're going to keep strength 8. That's fine. He is not a strong character. But we want to have our dexterity at 16, our constitution at 12, our intelligence at 10, our wisdom at 13, and our charisma at 16. So that's a little bit different from what it gives you initially. It gives you higher intelligence and wisdom. But I believe that if the ring were in Baldur's Gate 3, it would be attacking a wisdom score rather than an intelligence score. So we're going to boost his wisdom and bring down his intelligence a little bit to represent the resilience he has against the. And then for skill proficiencies, again, please ignore acrobatics and performance as that's from Hireling's background. But we are going to choose proficiency in stealth, history, and persuasion. Stealth should be a pretty obvious one. History is because of the time that Frodo spent with Bilbo learning about the histories of Middle-earth. And then persuasion because hobbits tend to be very charismatic characters. Now, moving on to level 2 here, we are going to switch classes to rogue. As I said before, Frodo is not a spellcaster, so we don't want to take too many levels into bard. Really, the first level into bard is just to get those flavorful choices. Level 2, nothing to be done here. You're just getting access to your cunning actions, which are very helpful. So at level 3, it's now time to choose our subclass. We're going to go with what's already chosen here, which is Thief. And yes, generally, Frodo is not a thief. However, he was caught several times stealing mushrooms from Farmer Maggot. So you could make the argument that he is a little bit of a thief. And Bilbo was working as a burglar for quite some time during his adventures in The Hobbit, so maybe he picked up a thing or two. Now, right around level 4 or 5, you are probably adventuring into Grimforge, which is usually towards the end of Act 1. There is a ring there that gives you the invisibility spell, so you're going to want to keep an eye out for it so that it can stand in for the one ring. And it is called Fetish of Caladuran Smooth Hands. Now at level 4, we're going to choose our first feat. And the feat that we're going to choose first is going to be Lucky. And yeah, that may seem a little bit simple, but seriously, Frodo's got some luck. Nothing to choose at level 5, it's just a class feature here. But around this level, 5 or 6, is when you're probably going to be venturing into Act 2. And shortly after entering Act 2, you should reach the Last Light Inn. There's another ring that you can get at the Last Light Inn if you're lucky in a certain fight called the Shifting Corpus Ring, and it also gives you the invisibility spell. So there's another opportunity to pick up a trinket that can fill in for the one ring. Now at level 6 road, you have the opportunity to change skills if you want to, but we don't feel the need, so we'll keep going. Level 7, still nothing to do here, just a class feature that you unlock. Now at level 8, it is time to choose your second feat. And now what we're going to go with is really a flavor choice here, but we're going to choose resilient with an emphasis on wisdom. Again, within the context of BG3, I imagine that the ring would be sapping your wisdom. So because of Frodo's resilience against the ring, we are going to take resilient wisdom, which provides you an ability increase score of 1, bringing that wisdom up to 14, meaning you're now getting a +2, and a proficiency and that ability saving throw. Level 9 is just another class unlock, so we'll go ahead to the next level. Now here's the fun thing about rogues, they get an extra feat. They get a feat at level 10. So, third feat for the character, you can be a little flexible with this one, honestly. There's a couple choices that I think would make sense. I would recommend either alert or mobile. Alert gives you a +5 bonus to initiative and can't be surprised. And let's face it, Frodo is not getting a whole lot of sleep later on in the series. He's pretty anxious and alert. And then mobile is also a good choice. Movement speed increases, difficult terrain doesn't slow you down when you dash. Don't provoke opportunity attacks after making a melee attack. So at this point in the journey, considering the level here, which would be representative of pretty close to getting to Mount Doom, you assume that Frodo has gotten pretty good at navigating difficult terrain and running away. But we're going to go with alert for this one. Now, this final one is really up to you. You could just take this level in Rogue and take the class feature it comes with, which is a reliable talent, but I'm going to do something different, and this is a flavor choice, but I'm going to do the final level here in Barbarian. And you may be thinking, why the heck would you choose Barbarian for Frodo? He's got 8 strength. He's not a strong character. What are you thinking? Well, again, it's a flavor choice because just one level in Barbarian opens up Rage. And what happens towards the end of the journey when he's at Mount Doom about to cast the ring into the fire? He goes a little nutty. He finally gives in to the temptation of the ring and has a scrap with Gollum and almost dies. So I think this is a flavor win to give him just one level in Barbarian to open up Rage. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please consider subscribing, dropping a like and comment, all those fun things, and I hope to see you in the next one.